2015, was born in Chicago. I'm sure still claims Chicago. Let's see. A professional performing artist and publisher, Janet Kuypers is a writer and photographer, editing 2 literary magazines through Scars Publications. She has over 100 books published of her work, mostly available through Amazon. She hosted the Cafe Gallery Chicago Poetry Open Mic and hosts the monthly Poetic License Austin, Texas Open Mic, which is now global through Zoom meetings. Performing spoken word and music nationally with bands and shows in Chicago, Round Rock, Texas, and Alaska, she has sung in 3 bands, and her over 40 CD releases appear at iTunes, Amazon, and others. Profiled in such magazines as The Nation, Kuypers won the Poetry Ambassador Award and Poet of the Week and has been nominated for multiple Pushcart prizes. Once running internet radio stations and a poetry podcast, she frequents radio, national, and local television. Tonight she is debuting work from her new collection, Testament, which was written in post-Roe America. Y'all clap it up for our featured poet tonight, Janet Kuypers.
Hi there. I thought I'd come in as justice here, although the war machine seems to be, having a stranglehold on liberty, it seems, on my scales right now. But I've been trying to do so much work, but I've been battered down over a year now, dealing with women's rights after the return of Roe v. Wade. This young lady did say something about the fact, I'm getting out of the way of the microphone, but I'm loud, that Cyberwitz published a book titled Testament. The first part of the book, in 4 parts, over half the book, is all post-Roe v. Wade, women's rights issue stuff. So I'm going to read to you select pieces from this. They're all edited because I've got so many, and I only get so much time. So I'm going to place these things down here. Yeah, the war machine's really knocking up liberty on this thing. And so, I thank you in advance for listening.
Lady Justice, I'm going to raise the mic.
Lady Justice. Across the country, we passed a car dealership in Arkansas, U.S. flags and Half-Mast. I wondered if there was another mass shooting, but no other flags were lowered. As we drove to the next town, we wondered if the flags were at Half-Mast because of the recent overturning of Roe v. Wade and the death of women's rights. And only hangars, man, but I've got work to do now because of this, just over a year. This is it's my costume. It's my,
Co-hangers will do.
Yeah, it's been really tough dealing with the co-hangers here. Perfect, thank you. This piece is titled, Only Post What I Know. Journalism blood runs through my veins. So seeing the stack of states surprisingly high that already had trigger laws to further suppress women's rights if Roe v. Wade was overturned by the Supreme Court, seeing that swath of southern states made something click in my head. Time to look up Bible Belt states, and the numbers matched up close to perfectly. But then, one more thought went through my head. Which states, by the Civil War, supported slavery? Now, this sounds harder to research, since at our country's founding, presidents had slaves. Their status as being 3/5 of a human being was written into our very own Constitution. But see info in 1861, when the Civil War began. And what do you know, Annie? Correlations are truly abound. Now, as I said, I've got journalism coursing through my veins, and I'm just trying to put the pieces together, and boy, do they ever. Is this more evidence that those who continue to believe that blacks were slaves came from the same region that socialist and conservative Christians actually thrive? Now bring the story around to demoting women by overturning Roe v. Wade, loved by these same states. No, I may not have proof. I'm no Dixon Hill or Sherlock Holmes, but now that I mention it, I believe Sherlock Holmes would say that when you eliminate all of the factors, the one which remains must be the truth. So, as a journalist, it's not my job to tell you what to think. I only post what I know, and then you can decide. The book has 4 sections and it has bonus poems between, and this is a bonus poem between sections 1 and 2, and this is titled, Your Government's Keeping Tabs. The more we love our technology, the more we get sucked in, and the more anyone can know anything about you, and the more Big Brother takes even more from you. You think I sound crazy, but I don't care if my brother-in-law helped invent the cloud. I am not giving another company full control of my work. You say I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but I swear we forget how quickly we can lose our privacy. With cameras everywhere in public watching you, and your precious cell phone tracking your every motion. And don't forget that your apps keep your data to share with anyone, from companies who want more of your extra money to your overly invasive government taking more of your rights. This slippery slope idea doesn't resonate with most. I get that. So I suppose it makes sense for some to use period tracking apps or pregnancy apps on your phone. But privacy issues are all but forgotten when data monitoring a woman's reproductivity after the abortions now nearly banned in at least 15 states can be used by our government, when most of these apps have very vague privacy policies for the data that they track. You may think I'm crazy, ringing that conspiracy bell too wildly, but I don't care. It doesn't matter which abortion issue state I live in. Don't tell me I'm just too protected of what should be personal to any human being. Because when we don't protect rights for some human beings, via women's rights after the abortion laws passed, claiming that clumps of cells are not, they're alive when they're not even alive. If you turn your other cheek when rights are taken away from some, more rights will be taken away until there's no one left to help you when they take you too. Just as you didn't realize how hard it would be to read you poetry with these hangers on. This poem is titled, Elevating the Fetus Goes Against Religion. Waxing poetic about the clash between government and religion is in my dossier, but I fight with evidence as my ammunition. But if it's a religious argument you want, I can deliver that unto you as well. The Holy Bible disagrees with policymakers on when life begins. These restrictive laws even go against basic Jewish beliefs too. People from one clergy are suing the state of Florida because of its new abortion law. That this new law violates the freedom of speech, religious liberty, and the Constitution's Establishment Clause, quote, because it codifies a singular and exclusive religious belief with no plausible secular justification, unquote. This religious lawsuit isn't the first one either. From when 2 Christians, 3 Jews, 1 Unitarian Universalist, and a Buddhist argue in separate lawsuits that their ability to live and practice their religious faith is violated by the state's post-Roe abortion laws. So, if logic and reason couldn't sway you, maybe listening to those from multiple religions would. When I see the immoral acts from the religious people, and also see this united nation will only consider leaders for their country if they can prove how religious they are, well, maybe you need to hear our religious argument too. Whatever argument it takes. Maybe we need lawsuits from different religions against one law. The lawsuits even argue that this new law sets, quote, a pernicious elevation of the illegal rights of fetuses, while at the same time it devalues the quality of life and the health of the woman or girl who is pregnant. Wow, these religious arguments sound familiar. So maybe if we want to turn rights back to the right direction again. Maybe lawsuits from religions, and it is a necessary step to show that everyone, no matter what your beliefs, is affected by a select few changing the law for too many. This may only be the start, but the more ammunition, the better. Like that and hear about stuff too, but this one is titled Once You've Made Up Your Mind. And I read in my hangers, once you've made up your mind. Once you've made up your mind, it'll be next to impossible to change it back. Say, if people believe in a God, they will go to war for their views on religion. Or look at the political arena and see card-carrying Democrats and Republicans. You'll see that once they've made up their mind, it'll be next to impossible to change it back. Consider Herschel Walker. Yes, the NFL football player, but I mean the man at 22 who ran to be a U.S. Senator. He touts his conservative ways, stepping hard with the conservative line that all abortion is wrong, with no exceptions. Then newspapers report that he paid a woman he was dating to have an abortion. He denied this. He didn't know the woman until we learned that this woman birthed another one of his kids. By the way, he has 4 kids, not all from the same woman, and don't mind the divorce, though his ex-wife and son swear up and down about his violence to them. So much for family values. When asked about the $575 check and the get well card after that abortion, his response was, quote, I give money to people all the time because I'm always helping people. This is from the same man that repeatedly threatened to kill his wife and son. Remember this. And during an election year, when the hot button issue is abortion, you'd think that all of this info on the real life of Herschel Walker may be a real problem in the political world. But as far as I can tell, no one seemed to care. He seems like a good man, and he says he's a Republican. So, cut the guy some slack. People make mistakes. Yes, they do. Because, as I said, once you've made up your mind, especially about a political party, it's next to impossible to change it back. Because after all this news came out, it seems that the Democrats who support abortion hate Walker more, and Republicans ignore the past of their candidates as long as their party can have more power. This comforts me, how ethics are ignored. And the Lutheran Brethren even compiled stats that 2/3 of all adults believe ethics, quote, vary by situation, and that there is no, quote, unchanging ethical standard or right and wrong. So maybe it's not so hard to stay in lockstep with your political party if no one holds any values. Because now, once you've made up your mind about a political party, you don't have to worry about those pesky morals or values anymore. Just stay in lockstep with whatever they claim to believe, even if politicians didn't act that way in the past, and you'll never need an excuse to change your mind. How convenient that politics exists now so that you don't have to think anymore. We don't need to think about half of these United States taking rights away from all women. For if we don't need to worry about morals or ethics, then why should we worry about women's rights? Let Big Brother do all your thinking for you. Only a century has passed since women gained the right to vote, so why on God's green earth should women have control over their own bodies? Just sit in front of your mindless boob tube that's now as flat as our minds, and don't fret about where your rights went. This one is titled Overturning Against All. It is not only a select few who suffer from the Dobbs v. Jackson ruling overturning Roe v. Wade and stripping away women's constitutional protections. Any doctors providing birthing services, especially ones specializing in high-risk pregnancies, may leave the states who ban abortions, leaving fewer doctors particularly and tragically in rural areas. Beyond that, medical students and medical residents won't want to train in states that don't offer this, which is the same practice as providing miscarriage services for women in need. And if that's not enough, birth control. That may be taken away too. I know this might just be water cooler talk, but I had heard within the industry that when the first birth control pill was released, the Catholic Church, who held stock in that pharmaceuticals company, complained, protested over the pill, but didn't sell their stock as the company made money hand over fist because of this sinful product. And I hear that only after a generic came along and the one drug company got less coin from birth control, that's when the Catholic Church sold their stock. But let's go to the meds, because some drugs for abortions are used for other purposes too. As a woman diagnosed at an early age with psoriatic arthritis, one of the drugs I took was methotrexate. Now, people who suffer with psoriasis, lupus, and other autoimmune disorders can't obtain their first-line medication, methotrexate, because it is also in abortion medications. So, desperate times call for desperate measures when women lose their rights, because when some states are bound and determined to do this to women, they give rights to the non-living and take away rights from living, breathing, voting adults across genders, ages, and interests. Because whatever overturning this does, it really does affect more than a select few. This one, because I get to talk about being journalism Janet again. This one is titled Oppression, the Ultimate Killer. Christiana Manpour, a CNN journalist born in Britain to an Iranian father, whom historically interviewed Iranian presidents, explained in a New York interview that Iranian President Ibrahim stated before their scheduled interview that she should wear a headscarf. She declined, since although that may be the law for Iranian women, it's not against the law in the United States. Plus, no previous Iranian president she interviewed requested this of her. But after she said no, the Iranian state canceled their interview. So, I love my research, and journalism Janet here had a field day with the idea of a man not allowing a woman to interview him because of the religious intonation of a woman not covering her hair. The Quran instructs women to overly conceal themselves, to, quote, maintain modesty and privacy from unrelated males, end quote. All rational people instantly know the real problem is with the men being unable to control their sexual deviancy. But instead of blaming men, women have to be subjugated so heinously to make up for the misdeeds of otherwise blameless men in the name of religion. But that's when it becomes abundantly clear that Iran has other things to worry about. Because they have more to worry about than just asking a journalist to cover her hair. Manpour recalled from her own family attending the protests of Iran in 1979, the Iranian Revolution replaced a dynasty with an Islamic Republic, which culminated in Iran's morality police detaining women for not properly wearing a hijab. Some may write religion into law, but it's another thing entirely when 22-year-old Mahsa Amini was taken from her brother at the Tehran metro for what authorities called an improper hijab. She was taken to the morality police headquarters. 2 hours later, she was taken to hospital in a coma. 2 days later, she died. After hearing screaming, multiple women there left, saying that police just killed someone. What followed in the streets of Iran were weeks of protests, with women burning their hijabs or cutting their hair in the streets, along with the rising death count for protesters. And videos are online of Iranian police assaulting a girl for taking off her hijab in public. The proof is out there. I keep relaying all the twists and turns to this story. This isn't what this story was supposed to be about. But then I realized, no matter what we're reading, the story remains the same. The UN calls on Iran to repeal their laws severely restricting access to abortion. And we can talk about the police states killing their people. We can talk about governments imposing religion, but talk is cheap and no one connects the pieces. For even when some people within Iran, one of the most oppressive states to women, begin to question when life begins inside of a womb, the tyranny and oppression of women doesn't change. You say that nobody expects the Spanish Inquisition, but really, look at the evidence that has been waiting to be discovered for millennia. Connect the pieces. This is the way it always works out. Stopping abortions isn't the saving of clumps of cells or that a women are killers if nothing was even alive. It's the oppression of women. That starts with the hurting of living, breathing people, and it ends with the death of countless more. If everyone wants to stop the deaths of so many innocent souls, you know where to look. Save women from these most basic oppressions. And then you truly save real lives. Thank you. I was running along, I have two more. Two. This one, and you're like, yay, only two more, and then she's done. No, just kidding. This one is called Xing Out Loud. A male misogynist coworker, and I'll make the money while she raises my kids in my home kind of guy, knew a woman from out of state in a really abusive relationship after she discovered she was pregnant from a boyfriend who terrified her, refusing to wear a condom. He would say she was stupid enough to get pregnant. She had to terminate the pregnancy before the boyfriend found out. So this male misogynistic coworker asked if she could stay at her home for a few days while recovering. Of course she could. We welcomed her. We gave her whatever space she needed to physically and mentally recover. It broke my heart that me, this stranger, couldn't just wrap my arms around her and tell her that everything would be okay. But the one thing we did notice about our male misogynistic coworker is that after he helped her, after he saw what being a male misogynist could do, how it could break a woman, a human being so, he began to understand the potential error of his ways. He was changed. And I am woe to say it only came after seeing the culmination of Xing Out lives that changed him. Whose life is worth Xing out? People ask. And this is the balancing act we all perform. For this one man, maybe the true fear of one woman, her fear of being X'd out by a man, meant it was necessary for her to X out something before it became life. Karma works in funny ways, where one woman is almost destroyed so a man could see salvation. You've heard the references before. A butterfly flaps its wings in Tibet and a rainforest burns in Brazil. Or after one woman is raped, she learns to make life better for all women. Maybe I saw this here in this no longer misogynistic man, for him to see the light, as it were, and truly understand which lives are really worth saving. This is the last one, and I believe it's the last one in section 1 of the book. And as I said, these are all edited. So if you want full ones, you can get the books because I've got them, and you don't have to pay shipping and handling from Amazon. What a bargain! Sorry. This piece is titled Evidence as Testament. There is a shelf inside my brain where all of the battles against human rights remain, waiting for me to paperclip them together as tools for regaining women's rights. But with so many little stories taking up space, Rolodexes are now bulging, and rotary card files are fraying at the edges so all my sources scatter. I'll have to relocate all that shelf in my brain, move it to a full library, complete with a Dewey Decimal System in an attempt to bring order to this chaos. Because, you know, the stories of Lubbock, Texas coffee shops giving away Plan B packs for free to women for fighting contraception access across, after the overturning of Roe v. Wade, that goes in a completely different section from Senator Lindsey Graham pushing for a federal abortion restriction bill, which is entirely different from the Equal Rights Amendment, which by 1920 had 38 ratifications necessary for it to become the 28th Amendment that was once blocked by President Trump, and now also seems to be blocked by President Biden. That shelf in my brain was overflowing with counter-arguments that had no evidence that I'm supposed to accept on faith. That's the key, isn't it? Faith. Because once you throw that elusive word faith into the mix, then you can abandon reason altogether. We don't have to question a Democratic president who says he supports women's rights but won't prove it presidentially. Or if we are forced to accept any religious argument where choices are made on faith, that's when we're supposed to shut up and accept their lack of evidence as testimonies. Keep in mind that of the first 11 states that religiously passed laws to repress women's rights when Roe v. Wade was overturned, 10 of these 11 states support the death penalty. So much for kindness and compassion, the Christian way. Paperclip this thought. They take away rights from living, breathing, viable human beings, i.e. women, like those who birthed those religious zealots who chose the same equality for women, in order to protect a non-viable clump of cells. Oh, I'm sorry. You're going to get angry with me with those words, a clump of cells, when religions try to use science to support their arguments, claiming a fetal heartbeat after 6 weeks. But doctors will tell you that there is no heart, no four chambers, no pumping blood, and that what you're hearing are literally only sporadic electrical impulses, not blood in a pumping heart. An OBGYN from the American College of Obstetrics and Gynecology explained that a lub-dub sound of the opening and closing of valves can't exist with no valves. The electrical pulse people hear at 6 weeks is manufactured by the ultrasound machine. Religious people want to use technology to prove their case, and they use the incorrect term of a fetal heartbeat. But still, after only 6 weeks, some would still incite murder. Murder of a non-viable human embryo that weighs no more than a paperclip. No more than a paperclip. Something to hold these ideas together about the ludicrosity, absurdity, the literal lunacy of religious people trying to create something out of nothing. Wait, is that what they've been doing all along? In an effort to further hold women back. Because if they can't win you over with the faith argument, they'll hope to claim science on their side when they alter the facts to meet their needs, call it valid, and hope something sticks. And for those who believe life begins at conception, let me quote Neil deGrasse Tyson, quote, "Most abortions are spontaneous, and they happen naturally within the human body. Most women who have such abortions don't even know it because it happened in the first month." So, for some, do so many women become mass killers? Because I have this overflowing shelf in my brain with every angle on this abortion topic. They say I'm at fault for using logic and science because with so many religions, I won't rely on one faith argument that will conflict with someone else's faith argument. If you're looking for justice, it's just a slippery slope, depending on faith with no evidence. Because without reason, that's when the true chaos consumes us.
And I have copies of the book. You can buy it. I haven't paid for them, so you can buy them off of me, and I won't lose quite as much money. No. But you won't pay for shipping and handling, and what a deal. And check it out if you'd like it. Thank you. And thank you. And I got a hug. Thank you. Ow. Oh my God. was Janet Kuypers. So we have a tradition here, Wednesday night poetry. We have this 139-year-old beaver skin hat. Whatever goes in this hat is going to go to our featured poet, Janet Kuypers, who came all the way from Austin, Texas, to join us.